Mzwanele Manyi has dropped a political truth bomb. His removal as the MK party's chief whip was not about incompetence or poor performance. He insists it was political sabotage, a maneuver designed to reshape the party's internal balance and silence a voice that was becoming inconvenient. That's the line he's taking publicly, and it's one that turns what might have been a routine personnel change into a story about factional power plays and shifting loyalties in South African politics. The facts are straightforward. On May 27, 2025, the MK party announced that it had relieved Manyi of his duties as chief whip and replaced him with Colleen McCubely. The headlines from multiple outlets ranged from matter-of-fact reports of an administrative reshuffle to sharper takes claiming internal strife and suggesting that arrogance or clashes within the caucus may have played a role. Manyi's response was immediate and pointed. He told interviewers the decision was a calculated political maneuver, not a reflection of his performance in the role. Why this matters goes beyond party gossip. Manyi is not a fringe political actor. He's a high-profile, polarizing figure with a long history in government communication roles, business forums, and political movements. His appointment as MK party chief whip after leaving the EFF was itself symbolic, an attempt by the MK party to amplify its profile and legislative muscle. Removing him after less than a year therefore raises immediate questions about whether the party is recalibrating its message, under pressure from internal factions, or responding to external forces. Those are not petty explanations, they speak to how new and fragile political alliances are managed in the wake of South Africa's shifting post-2024 landscape. Manyi's own framing is strategic. By characterizing his ousting as a political maneuvering, he shifts the narrative from a personal failing to a broader story about power. That gives him the rhetorical high ground. He becomes the target of an internal purge rather than the architect of his own downfall. In interviews and on talk shows he doubled down, saying the Sona events and a reported fallout with caucus leader Hlofi were not the reason for his removal and that he believes the change is administrative and tactical in nature. Whether the public accepts that explanation will depend on how transparently the MK party explains its decision and whether documentary or testimony-based evidence emerges to back or contradict Manyi's claims. There are a few threads to watch closely. First, the MK party's official statement and the internal minutes behind it. Political removals often come wrapped in vague language about strategic realignment or renewed focus. If the party produces a clear rationale, for example poor discipline, failure to meet caucus objectives, or policy differences, that will undercut Manyi's claim. If the party remains opaque, Manyi's sabotage narrative gets more oxygen. Second, public and private reactions from key MK figures. Are other senior MPs quietly nodding along with Manyi's version, or is he isolated? The pattern of private endorsements or quiet distancing will reveal whether this was a small clique's decision or a broader caucus consensus. Third, Manyi's next moves. He says he will remain an ordinary MP, which keeps him in the institution where he can continue to make waves. But staying on the backbench while publicly claiming sabotage is a delicate balancing act. It keeps him in the spotlight and preserves his platform, but it also risks alienating colleagues who see his public remarks as undermining party unity. How Manyi uses interviews, parliamentary questions, and social media in the coming weeks will show whether he intends to fight from within or build an external pressure campaign. Context matters too. Manyi is no stranger to controversy or to abrupt career pivots. His public life has included roles in government communications, leadership in business forums, and recent party jumping that reflects a broader realignment in South African political life after the 2024 elections. That history gives him credibility with a certain audience and makes him a useful, and sometimes combustible, asset for any party seeking to punch above its weight. Removing someone with that profile is always more consequential than changing a junior whip. For viewers and political watchers, this is more than a theater of the absurd moment. It's a real-time case study in how parties manage dissent, how political narratives are manufactured, and how individuals with high media savvy can reframe setbacks as martyrdom. If you're producing commentary or sharing analysis, look beyond the tweet-sized takes, demand the party documents, compare the timelines of conversations and votes, and track who benefits from money sidelining. Political reshuffles rarely occur in a vacuum, they usually signal strategic shifts, personnel foreshadowing, or the consolidation of a different power bloc. If you want the short takeaway, Manyi says he was ousted not for incompetence but because he was politically inconvenient, and his claim should be taken seriously enough to demand scrutiny. The MK party will either furnish a clear explanation that stands up to public examination, or it will allow Manyi's narrative to gain traction and complicate its own public profile. For anyone who follows South African politics, that's the kind of unfolding story you don't want to miss. If this deep dive sparked your interest, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We'll track the MK party statements, publish any leaked minutes or clarifying documents, and bring you interviews and analysis that cut through the spin. Smash the like button if you want an annotated timeline when more facts drop, and drop your thoughts below. Was Manyi's removal justified, or is this an internal purge dressed up as internal housekeeping? Either way, the aftermath will tell us much about where the MK party is headed and how robust South Africa's newer political formations really are.